Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, and well, Raw has been not so hot recently. It's no secret really. Everyone's been saying TV ratings are down, you know, the superstars have been made to look stupid, the matches aren't that good, and the storylines are pretty horrible as we speak. And this week, WWE just came out and said that all themselves. They just admitted it. That might be a little bit confusing if you haven't watched Raw, but have no fear, because I'm about to reveal all as we run down Raw and give each individual segment a lovely juicy grade. That's right, this is Raw Graded. I know I need a shave. So we open the show with Burn It Down. Mick Foley hit no, Seth Rollins hits the ring. Then Seth gets in the ring, gets a microphone, and then he goes, "Burn it down," which is really strange, but you know, fair enough. Then he says, "I'm about to spit some truth." Weird hearing someone from Iowa say spit some truth. I don't know anything about Iowa apart from it's got loads of corn and Slipknot are from there. So yeah, it is a bit weird to hear someone from Iowa go, "I gotta spit some facts, yo." But he's about to cut a savage promo on Baron Corbin. Ooh, I cannot wait. And neither, it turns out, can Baron Corbin, who comes down to the ring himself to hear what Seth's got to say. So yeah, Rollins cuts a promo basically saying, he doesn't even keep it kayfabe. I'd have understood this if he went, "Corbin, you and your heel buddies have been running amok, breaking all the rules, you're a corrupt general manager and I hate you." But instead, he doesn't even really keep it kayfabe. He goes, "What's with these Lucha House Party rules?" I guess Corbin, you know, would book those matches in kayfabe, but it's such a strange thing to bring up, especially when they're meant to be the babyfaces who are going to be cheering for Lucha House Party rules, as little sense as they make. He brings up that. I think he even brought up Drake Maverick pissing himself. He brings up how much screen time Corbin, Lashley and Drew all have and how it makes the show boring and bad. And he mentions the low ratings. So I don't really know what to make of this, because yes, Raw has been bad recently and we all know this, but when Raw itself tells us that Raw has been bad, is that not suggesting that we should maybe turn it off? It's a very, very odd promo from Rollins here. Corbin basically plays the Vince McMahon role here, basically is a caricature of what our opinion of Vince is. He says, "I don't give a damn what the fans think, I don't care. And also, when I beat Braun Strowman at TLC by forfeit because he's injured, I'm going to make your life, Seth, a living hell." And Seth says, "Well, why don't you just start that tonight? I challenge you to a TLC match later on." And Corbin says, "No, no, no." And Rollins goes, "Yes, yes, yes, you're a big old coward." And keeps like literally prodding him and going, "You're a coward, you're a coward." And then it's arranged to be for the IC title, and that match is made for later on, for the main event as it turns out. I'm going to give this segment a D+. It was a hot segment, the crowd liked it, Rollins and Corbin both did really well on the mic, especially Rollins. So why does it get such a low grade? Because it's giving me really bad feelings. Yes, as people have mentioned online, this is like the dying days of WCW. I don't like it. It leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth. Ugh. I was a WWF kid, and everything WCW at the time, I was like, what's going on? Because I was about 7, and you had lads running around saying, "I'm the booker, shooty, shooty, pow, pow," and I barely knew that wrestling was staged. I was so confused, and this is reminding me of that. This wasn't a CM Punk style fourth wall breaky, shooty promo, because Punk's was so good because it made sense both ways. It made sense as a shoot, and it totally made sense in kayfabe as well, so it didn't necessarily make people have to suspend their disbelief too much. On the other hand, this promo was just Rollins explaining systematically, stage by stage, why Raw has been terrible recently, and he's right. He's saying the program you're watching sucks, this is why it sucks, these are the reasons, and he's right. They are the reasons that Raw has been bad recently. And he mentions that the ratings are low, and the ratings are low. And it's just like, why are we watching then? This isn't Seth's fault, and this isn't Corbin's fault, as much as this promo makes it seem like it's Corbin's fault. It's not. It's the fault of, you know, the people behind Monday Night Raw. But at the same time, why point that out to us? You know, no matter how honest it is, you shouldn't be telling us that your product's bad. Do you know what I mean? Next up, we have a Lucha House Rules match. Well, not featuring the Lucha House Party though. It's the Raw Tag Team Champions, the AOP, and Drake Maverick in a 3-on-2 handicap against the challengers Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Nice fun little match. I think it went about like 7 or 8 minutes. It was pretty decent. And then eventually, the babyfaces upset the odds and win. We have new Raw Tag Team Champions, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. They did so because Drake Maverick wanted to tag himself in and get the pinfall on Bobby Roode, who was already beaten, but then Roode surprised him with a roll-up and won the tag titles for himself and Chad Gable. I'm going to give this a C-. The match was fun. I enjoyed certain aspects of it. It had some fun spots. I enjoyed when Maverick got launched out of the ring onto the baby faces. That was pretty cool. But at the same time, I just hate this whole feud. I generally hate it. the whole Drake Maverick pissing his pants thing, thankfully he didn't do it in this match, but it just stopped AOP's momentum dead. And from that point on, their title reign was just an utter joke. And it's a sad reign coming to a sad end for me. They went from being NXT's sort of big monster men with all the promise in the world to now those two Raw men and their little pissy friend. They're two Raw men and their little pissy friend. That's what the AOP are now. Sad. Sad for Drake Maverick as well. He also deserves better. Next up, Natalya comes out and cuts a promo on Ruby Riott. She says that she loves this business. She brings up Montreal at some point as well. I'm not quite sure how that tied in, but any mention of Montreal is a good one. She also said that Ruby Riott, though, has no respect for this business, and she basically ran her down for the whole storyline where she's been disrespecting Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who of course sadly passed away in real life. So it makes sense that Natalya would do that. But at the same time, I always have to question the heel's motives in this feud, because you'll see what I mean in just a second. So Natalya says at TLC, I'm going to drive your ass through a table and dedicate the win to Jim the Anvil Neidhart, her late father. Then Ruby Riott comes out and says, no you're not, you suck, I'm better, I'm going to beat you, you're a disgrace to your family, which came out of nowhere, and then unveiled her gift for Natalya, which was a table with Jim the Anvil Neidhart on it, and it got heat, right? It got heat and Natalya looked upset in the ring. I'm going to give this segment a D. Now, I understand that, you know, they need to do something to get heat on Ruby Riott, and it's good for her push as a heel, and, you know, she's managed to come on further in the women's division because of this feud with Natalya, you could argue. But at the same time, do they need to use the Jim the Anvil Neidhart stuff? It's not that I think that Natalya hasn't cleared it with them, I'm sure she has, and that it's all good by her, but at the same time, I think it does a bit of a disservice to Ruby Riott as a heel. The whole disrespecting dead family members thing, as I've said in the past, doesn't really fit the Riott Squad's thing. They're like little punk kid anarchists, like running around trashing backstage areas and stuff, and that's fine. Then they just randomly decide to go, let's pick on Natalya because her dad's dead. And I was like, where did this come from? Now they've taken things one step further with this whole table, with Jim Neidhart's image on it, and I just don't really understand it. It reminds me of when, for no reason, Paige started just ripping on Charlotte Flair's brother, who also had passed away. And I don't want to suggest that it's only something that happens in the women's division, because historically it doesn't, but recently, in the past few years, it does seem as though when they run out of ideas for the women's division, they either go jealousy, friends turning on each other, physical appearance jokes, or dead family members. I don't know where it comes from. So yeah, unfortunately, this segment does get a D. Next up, Drew McIntyre's in the ring and cuts a promo on Finn Balor and says, I beat Finn Balor so bad that he's not here this week. I'm going to do the same at TLC and win. Go me, I'm Drew McIntyre. Then Dolph Ziggler comes out and they have a rematch from last week. This was basically Drew McIntyre getting his win back from last week, where he obviously lost to Ziggler, his first loss, I think, on Monday Night Raw. Certainly his first pinfall or submission loss. But yeah, this was pretty much all Drew. Dolph had some nice hope spots. There was the super kick, but then his leg gave out. I enjoyed that. There was the zigzag out of nowhere. I enjoyed that. But eventually Drew got the win, and that was probably the right thing. I'm going to give this a B- because I think, you know, Drew needed the win back. That was fair enough. That was a sensible booking decision, and I enjoyed the match. But it doesn't quite get maybe a B or a B+, just because if this is the case, then why did Ziggler win last week? It's an odd case where basically a segment from last week has negatively affected this week's grade. And I feel bad for that, but you do have to take things in context. Not everything's in a vacuum. Apart from dust and stuff. I'm here all week. I'm here for the rest of my life. Next up, Bayley versus the beautiful Alicia Fox. This was the weekly designated segment that advertises the Mixed Match Challenge, essentially. Bayley was accompanied by Sasha Banks. Alicia Fox was accompanied by Jinder Mahal and the Sings. And the heels were like distracting Bayley and trying to get involved a little bit and stop her from winning. So Apollo Crews ran down to even the odds and battered all of the heels and then threw Sasha Banks into them. Him and Sasha were like, yeah, go team! And then Bayley, I don't know why I went so kids TV there. Go Sasha and Apollo. It's not even Sasha and Apollo the team, it's Apollo and Bayley. Yeah, Bayley got the win with the belly to Bayley, and this was all to set up the change in team of the Mixed Match Challenge. Finn Balor cannot wrestle this week, unfortunately, so Apollo Crews has stepped in. Fair enough. This match gets a C. It was totally fine. I thought it was a decent finish with Bayley getting the big babyface win with Apollo Crews running in and stuff. Helped explain the Mixed Match Challenge, but I can't get too excited about it because honestly, this season 2 of the Mixed Match Challenge has been messy with people dropping out and getting put in and teams changing all over the place, and the format was weirder this time around. I just don't know what to make of it. It almost went for like a World Tag League kind of thing. I can't wait for the two winners to get number 30 in the Rumble and a holiday to anywhere they want in the world. Wowee. 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 Next up, Dean Ambrose does an interview backstage where he says if Rollins is still IC champion at TLC, he's going to take that belt from him because the match with Corbin later on tonight is for the IC belt. Way to make the IC belt look like an afterthought in this feud, lad. Although I guess, to be honest, it is a bit of an afterthought in this feud because it's Seth and Dean. I can forgive it in this instance because the two guys have so much history. Now, if only they built on some of that history to make the feud, then I'll actually be happy. I'd find something else to complain about, let's be honest. Ambrose runs down Rollins for, well, he's run him down for so many things. He's run him down for being germy and infected. He's run him down for bad things he did as a part of the Shield and how he's got to face his reckoning in the form of Dean Ambrose. He's run him down for various things. This time he ran him down for his ego. Just seems like Dean has like a Seth dartboard and just throws a dart and whatever aspect of Seth's former personality it lands on, that's what he rips into. But regardless, he sort of talks about Seth's ego and says he's going to tear that ego down, burn it down. And then says that, the interviewer says, what would Roman Reigns think of all this? And Dean says, who cares? Ooh, boom. Unfortunately, I'm going to give this a C. Again, Dean Ambrose did really well with the material he was given, but his character has no consistency. They don't write him week on week. It seems like there's 10 different writers writing Dean Ambrose's stuff. Sometimes he's saying, your town's smelly and you've all got germs. Sometimes he's saying, I'm the moral compass of WWE. I was born in the dark. Sometimes he's talking about Seth Rollins' ego, as the new thing is this week. And sometimes he attacks Roman Reigns for no reason. And that kind of just is sprinkled in there whenever WWE feel it appropriate. So it's a very strange mishmash. This isn't a three-dimensional heel character. This is like throwing everything at the wall kind of thing, in my opinion anyway. There was a nice video package after this interview, which helped, I guess, make the feud a little bit more succinct. But then after the video package was done, Ambrose was still standing there in the interview area just like, yeah, and then walked off. And I was like, what was the point of that little bit? Next up, Elias is in the ring and cuts a babyface promo, which is a little bit unnatural because he's kind of going, I know he's been a babyface for a few weeks now, but he's going like, I love this hometown, San Diego, you so fine, oh yeah. Not quite, that's if he was like an R&B singer. Elias is still good at getting the crowd on his side despite it being a bit weird when he's praising the hometown, gets them all clapping along, says that Bobby Lashley would take all the cool teams from San Diego and move them to Los Angeles. Ooh, like sports franchises moving around and stuff. Because I believe that's what happened to the San Diego Chargers. Bit of NFL knowledge there. Go Ravens, that's my team, caca. The Ravens don't go caca, that's really embarrassing. Ed Reed's gonna kill me. This leads to Elias versus Lio Rush with Heath Slater as the referee. Of course, last week Baron Corbin made Heath Slater a referee after he defeated and rumoured to have retired, his tag team partner Rhino. Now, Lio Rush managed to get some offense in this match, got to display what he could do, sold a bit, bumped a bit, all the things we know he can do if you watch 205 Live or were a fan of his on the indies, but not necessarily if you watch him on Monday Night Raw. So that was cool to see. Unfortunately, Bobby Lashley then intimidates Heath Slater into letting them break the rules, essentially. Lashley gets the guitar from the outside, smashes it over Elias's back, and Lio Rush picks up the undeserved victory. I saw this segment get panned online by quite a few people. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a B-. I don't think it was like brilliant or earth-shattering or anything like that. But I thought it served a purpose. I think that it built towards Lashley versus Elias at TLC well. I thought it helped push the Heath Slater thing along too. And you know what? This week there weren't too many like heels getting the undeserved, unscrupulous victory kind of thing. So we were allowed to have one. That was fine, I think. That was all right. If this somehow pays off for Heath Slater and he gets a massive amount of revenge on Baron Corbin, I'm going to pop like crazy. It's going to be awesome. Then Alexa Bliss comes out and, oh no, are we getting a third open forum in a row? I certainly hope not. She's with Nia Jax and Tamina, and then Alexa's about to be like, they're open forum time. Nia just snatches the mic from her, and I'm like, yes, Nia, this is going to be good. Nia then cuts promo, and it's not brilliant. And I think Nia gets a lot of hate online, more than she probably deserves, but even I have to criticize this promo. It wasn't good. It felt more than any other promo on the show like she was reading from a script, which of course everyone is, but you know, she didn't try and hide it very well at all. And then there was the ending of the promo. So she's gone, I'm going to beat you up with this fist, Ronda. this is the fist I used to beat up Becky Lynch. And everyone went, boo, we love Becky Lynch. And then she was like, I'm going to beat you up with it as well. I'm going to punch you in the face again and again and again until I win my title. And then just shouted at the end of the promo for no reason. I was like, this is awkward. Are you all right? Ronda runs out, and as she's walking down the ramp, cuts like the shortest promo in the history of Raw. She goes, I didn't come here to talk, I came here to fight, let's go. Bang. Runs into the ring, the heels surround her, but then Ember Moon comes out to even the odds. Overall, I'm going to give this segment a D-, man. Watch it if you don't understand why, because Nia, she can't deliver it that well. And I swear that Nia didn't used to be this bad at promos. Maybe they've given her more complex material now. Maybe they're writing it too much where she's better with like working off bullet points or something like that. I don't know what it is, but this wasn't cool, man. It was one of my least favourite bits of this week's Raw. So next up we had that match, Tamina versus Ember Moon. And you might think, oh, Tamina versus Ember Moon, what's Jack going to do? He's probably going to say that Ember Moon tried really hard to make it a good match, but it wasn't that good a match because Tamina was a little bit ragged and a little bit sloppy and was put in a position that she doesn't really need to be in. And you know, that's what I'm going to do, because that's exactly what this match was. No, to be fair, at least Ember got the win, because so many times recently we've seen Nia and Tamina get one over on Ember, despite her being one of the most promising women on the entire roster. So it was nice to see Ember get the win. Yes, she did need Ronda's help, but it was more of an evening the odds kind of thing. Nia tried to get involved. Ronda tossed her over the crowd barrier like a small child at a wedding, I was going to say, my brain was going to say there. Threw her over the crowd barrier like a small child at a wedding. That's the tradition up here in Newcastle for our weddings. Then Ember Moon hit the Eclipse on Tamina and picked up the victory. Hooray. Unfortunately though, I'm going to give it a D+. It just wasn't that good a match despite Ember's best efforts, but at the same time, the result was the correct one. And finally, the main event for Seth Rollins' IC Championship, a TLC match on TV. Whoa, is this going to be as good as Jerry Lawler versus The Miz in 2010. Anyway, no, it was better than that match. Seth Rollins was awesome here. Corbin was pretty good, but Rollins was awesome. He did everything he could to make an entertaining main event, like send the crowd home happy kind of thing. And it was really cool. There were high spots, there was like frog splashes through tables, there was a buckle bomb through a table, there was a choke slam through a table, the chairs got involved, people getting pushed off ladders, there was a crooked referee, Heath Slater was the referee. It was pure like cluster, flippy, booking, mayhem, kind of car crashy attitude era stuff, but I loved it. The storyline stuff really started to kick off when Seth Rollins accidentally hit Slater with a steel chair, and then later on he was climbing to like grab the belt down. Slater pushed the ladder over and kind of was like, this isn't because you hit me with the chair, I just have to do this because otherwise Corbin's going to fire me. Normally I'd be like, oh, not another one of these storylines, but then Rollins overcame the odds because Corbin was climbing to victory, Rollins buckle bombed him through a table, and then they had like a Shawn Michaels Ric Flair standoff where Slater was like, I'm sorry, I love you, but not I love you, but I'm sorry, I had to do it. Rollins just went bang, super kicked him. Didn't cry like Michaels did though. Then he climbed up and retained his title. And I thought this was a good ending to Raw there. The best one I've seen in a long while. I'm going to give this match an A-. I really, really enjoyed it. And I've seen people online going, oh, it's not that good. I thought it was good. I thought it was entertainment, good old-fashioned babyface overcoming the heelish odds and all that sort of thing. At the same time, yes, the result was a little bit predictable because we all kind of knew that Rollins was going to be carrying the IC belt into TLC against Dean Ambrose. But, you know, I now don't really know what's going to happen with Baron Corbin, because I thought he'd be really standing tall on this show, the go-home show to TLC, and instead he's been humiliated. So now, is he going to get some momentum back at TLC? Don't quite know what's going to happen. But I am looking forward to it a little bit more. So that's a good ending to Monday Night Raw. Now let's see if it saved the overall grade. Overall, I give this Raw from San Diego a C-. Not as bad as the previous 2 weeks, certainly not as bad as those 2 weeks, but at the same time, not a good week either. You know, Raw is on its way to recovery, I think, and hopefully with a good showing at TLC and some sensible booking, they can then reboot their whole Raw side of things for the new year and make everything okay again in the build-up to the Rumble and the road to WrestleMania. Time flies, man. It's been a great 2018 and it's not over yet. I'll be back next week with more Graded. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. I've been Jack from Cultaholic. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic and check out our Patreon too, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And if you haven't already, do not forget, of course, to hit subscribe and to join us.